your soul will deal with it. And so that's what I did not comprehend or understand.
Did you have to make a decision when you got to the bottom? Did you consciously make a decision? You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, in a way. There were two occasions. One occasion before I got into hospital and one occasion when I was in hospital. I was lying in bed. This probably was the night of or the day after the first paralysis started kicking in. That I had not had my will or my estate in place for my family to receive it. And I went, oh, I'm not going to give that money to the government. So that was one moment. I was almost ready to go then. Only I would be leaving a complete financial mess to my family. And then the second occasion happened in hospital, playing around with meds. I could not, they could not wake me up, though I was conscious. And they had turned around and said, we shall have to intubate her. And they were getting ready to intubate me. And with all the BS that's been going on this past year, that was a trigger point for me to say, no, I am not going down as that on my certificate. And so
wait. That kept you going to not get into the system.
Yes, I was so adamant that I was not going to be a statistic of something that I knew was BS.
And COVID saves lives, we can say now. We can say COVID saves lives.
I know, right? It was the integration process.
That's proof. This is awesome. This is so.
I'm telling you,
just joined us too.
I was so at peace that I was ready to go.
Right.
Is key, and that is what definitely helped with the attitude of, instead of a 2.5 year recovery, I'm almost back to normal after 6-7 months.
Well, you just made my night.
It truly is, you guys. This is why I do question whether this was one of the reasons why I had to go down all the way to come back, to really show how this stuff works. It's not just biomagnetism, it's the mind, it's the soul, it's a whole bunch of other aspects that medical AMA cannot do. All they did was do over 175 lab works, biopsies, and steroids. That's all they could find for me. And then they sent me home with no answers.
And your insurance covered everything?
I had no insurance.
How much have you spent?
I don't look at the bills right now. So, you know, they're chasing me. I'll deal with it when I'm ready for it.
Would you allow me to help you?
No, because I feel that they can wait at this point in time. Thank you very much. And then when the time comes, I'll just negotiate it down.
You didn't let me finish. Will you let me do a session with you?
That absolutely. Okay. Yes. I
kept telling Veronica, you know, I said, I want to work with you, but I want to do it directly. And I kept telling her that while she was telling me about your issues and all the months you've been going through pain and suffering. And, oh man, Veronica, I mean, Louise, I don't know. I was just with her and she's down and I don't know if she had to get up, and she just kept asking for help. And I kept saying, well, let's talk. Let me talk to her. So now I couldn't
talk. I couldn't even hold a phone.
Right.
I had complete paralysis, including my eyelids all the way down. So I couldn't talk, eat, walk, hold anything. anything gravity. It was all the way down.
And that's been going on for a while, because when you came out to the seminar, you were barely able to make that too. I mean, you were really sickly then.
I was sick then, yes. And it became a perfect storm. Again, the mind. I had just had a third job cancellation, and I thought mentally I was coping. But when you sleep, some of those aspects will play out. And I thought mentally I was doing things and coping with it, but obviously in my sleep state, it was traumatic, to say the least. So with illness, stress, it was the perfect storm.
So from paralysis and whatnot. So when did you first start using magnets, and how did you know what to do?
I didn't. I was physically too weak to do any of that. So we did biomagnetics. I think I was doing it at least right up until me coming down with it. But like everything, I was helping other people rather than myself. So I did a little bit on myself. It was frustrating. There was a lot of other interferences. I struggled with getting the right answers and the correct doing it remotely, getting the correct way to treat people, treat myself, whatever. And that was difficult.
Tell me the first time you've noticed and you thought it might be because of magnets. What was that first experience?
Probably when I was in hospital. I probably had 2 or 3 MRIs and X-rays, because they were focusing on the brain at that point, and they couldn't find anything. The symptoms looked similar to a stroke, only it was both sides of my body and all over my body. And when I came out of that, probably 3 days into the hospital, I could I knew something had changed. And the only thing that had been going on was you guys doing stuff.
And it's subtle, right?
Very subtle, very subtle. It was, I don't know how to word it. It was just that I knew stuff was happening to me on another level. That's all I can really explain it as.
And did the progression continue over?
It went in waves. It went in waves.
And in those waves, which you're saying, my experience directly with my feet, as well as I talk about too, is, you know, I've had the bestologist and even Dr. Garcia and Dr. Rin, you know, help me, and I get better and then I go back again, right? But you tend to be at a higher level than you were before. So it's like climbing the stairs out of hell. You know, it's just going to take some time. Plus you're dealing with age, you know, and then you don't know exactly where you should get to, because you're not sure. You know, I have muscle memory. I know where I used to be, but with you have to rebuild yourself completely, right?
I had to build everything from the nervous system to the central system to the veins and the muscles. Being in hospital for almost 3 months, the muscles had lost a lot of its usage, and it wasn't towards probably towards the end they realized how much more damage had actually been done for me, and that included digestive. So even though it wasn't physical in something I could see, it was physical in I couldn't eat anything that was given to me. I was on like baby formula. Even that could not digest and process. And so a lot of the muscles and the stimulations and things like that, just of digestive systems, anything in the abdomen, had completely shut down as well. So this illness had just taken everything, muscular everything. And I'm seeing, you know, how much the minerals and vitamins and nutrients had been sucked out of me as well, because you don't get it in the hospital.
Your voice has vigor. You have good energy. I can feel your energy. It feels, you know, it's like your power back, you know?
I literally feel like the last 3 weeks I've started to get that back. And it was a weird moment. It was me opening the curtains in my bedroom in my house. I had already been opening the curtains every morning in the other parts of the house. But I think the day that I opened my bedroom curtains, I knew I was almost at the end of the recovery, both physically and mentally.
So people just joined us, Louise. And so for the past, what would you say, 15 months, maybe more?
I went down hard October, I think it was the 13th. That was when the symptoms of the stroke-like paralysis occurred.
What year was that? Do you remember?
Last year. Yeah, October last year.
And when did we start working with you? Do you remember when we started? I can go to my notes and remember.
Physically for that, it was that week.
Right. That's when Veronica called me, right?
Yes.
That was I remember that. But
Yeah,
I never all I heard was from Veronica, because she's so concerned and so in tune, was, okay, she's got this, this, and this. I never got the progress report. I was just getting, no, it's not working. You know, and that happens sometimes. I've got one or two people.
The thing was, we assumed stuff, like everyone assumed when they admitted me into hospital, it was a stroke or it was an aneurysm. Because of that, it was Dr. Rind. When I was in the ER, I was communicating with Dr. Rind, and he kept saying, no, it's Lyme's, it's Lyme's. And he basically became right, but they would not test me for Lyme's for at least 2 weeks.
How did you know who to go see?
I didn't. I just went straight into the ER at a hospital here locally that is known for its neurological progress.
Oh gosh. So do you use magnets yourself?
I've just started 3 days ago again. Okay. Because it's very strange how to explain it. The illness was so debilitating. It was too much energy to just slap on a magnet and get it to activate. And that was too much. It was holding a phone was too heavy and too much for me, yet alone placing any form of magnets. And I've only just really had enough energy this week for the first time.
And can you explain what you were speaking to earlier for those that are getting on now, the spiritual side of this journey for you?
Whoa.
Okay, well, now let's start before that. Because this is so exciting for me to listen to you, to hear this, because you have the knowledge of a healer, and now you're the Chiron, you're the epitome of the Chiron. You're the one that's gone through and come back out now. And so, I mean, I love this story.
Well, I actually thought you were one of those, but you know, it's funny how we all say that we'll have a story or we don't have a story. And there is this part of me that feels very uncomfortable with the woe me moments, and I'm not into that.
Right.
And so you have to push beyond that mentally, that woe me moment. Yes, I went through, just like you go through the emotions of mourning, I was mourning what I had physically prior, and how do I move through that afterwards?
we did some emotional placements. I remember. I have to go back to my notes, but there was trauma, suffering, pain, and then we did hospital clearing as well. Dr. Garcia has an amazing protocol for MRSA and hospital staff infections, and then all that as we went through. So, but still, I mean, that coming out. So I want to, Dr. Garcia's taken this now to the emotional level, which he says is 80% of all physical ailments.
Exactly. And that's where the perfect storm came in. I was not handling the stress factor through what everybody went through last year. And I had finally experienced a third contract being canceled. And that contract, I'd flown out to LA for it. I'd sat in a hotel room for 2 weeks waiting for the clearing of it and all. And, I walk into the home to work for my job, and without explanation, 3 days later, they said, bye-bye. And I'm like, whoa, what just happened there? And so that was a contract that was meant to last 9 months. And so all of a sudden my head starts spinning. What am I going to do? Da, 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 da. But at the same time, it's, well, life will take care of me. And within 1 month of that, that's when all of this occurred. So the stress of what am I going to do kept building and building and building. And even though on the daily attribute, I thought I was dealing with it by working in the garden. There was a neighbor that had twins that were maybe 4 weeks old. So I was helping her almost daily. And she's like a single mom, so she needed a lot of help. And so I thought on a daytime basis, this was something I went, oh, okay, I'm pushing through it. But in my dream state, and this is what I did not understand, is that if you don't deal with it even in daytime, in dream state, I think my oxygen levels were low 80s at that point. I was so ready. I could have gone either way. But once they mentioned that word intubation, I fought like heck. And it took about 6 hours. And they came around and found out that it was 2 forms of medications mixed in with the steroids that had knocked me for 6.
And this is the next level of it. So the timing is beautiful right now, because that's where I want to project out where we can take, and quietly Dr. Garcia has taken his, not practice, but his magic is to the spiritual realm. And Dr. Thorson and Rudolf Steiner and Dr. Garcia and all these masters, they're talking about spiritual healing as part of their basic understanding of the human. It's just right. It's a physical body, it's emotion, but mostly it's a spiritual body. Spiritual beings having a physical experience. We're so dense, 500 years out of the dark ages, that we're just learning who we are and what our potentiality is. Right as the hammer's coming down on everyone to see what you're made of. I mean, this
right
is to see what the F you're made of, folks, and don't try and say it's not. It's a worldwide hit on the hammer head to each individual to see if they're made of something or not. And those that aren't, we get to see who they aren't. They're very clear now who's not going to be with us. That's the other good part of this all. We can find a tribe much easier now. A lot more people are waking up. But we have magic and magnets and intention. And I'm just a nuts and bolts guy. And you hear me say this a million times from bumfuck nowhere. And I learned this because I got ill too. And I hobbled onto a plane. I had to bring 3 shirts because I sweat so much. Oh, doc, you got malaria. I did some malaria clearing. Boom. I didn't sweat coming on the ramp off the plane. I mean, not sometimes immediate, but sometimes. And here's another thing that's really important for biomagnetism and is patience. If the process is going to work and your fingers tell you it's gonna maybe take some time. And depending on the other person too, what their will is. Will, love, and wisdom. And this is
right. And sometimes you can talk or communicate with their will or their higher self and their healing teams. And that's how I've been doing it. There's no other way I can explain it, because there was no way I could physically do biomagnetism. I only had my mind. I barely had speech. My eyes couldn't open up for the myopathy. And I just call them Joe Dispenza moments. I can't explain any other way. I only had my mind to do certain things. And one of the moments, I did them several times in the hospital, where I would go into almost that meditative state, not really understanding. I'd lost all my ability to even muscle test with my fingers, because I didn't have the power to do that. And so I didn't really know how to go in and fix myself 100%, like Joe Dispenza would, and how he explains it. But I would go into that mind state. And if I did it within 30 minutes of then the hospital staff coming in and checking my blood pressure, it would skyrocket. And then I learned not to do it within 30 minutes of them coming in to check my vitals. And so I knew that I was getting to my inner body through my mind, only because they had physically, there was no reason why my blood pressure was shooting up out of skyrocketing. I mean, at one point, one of them, they had walked in and interrupted me, and it was 182, or was it, oh, I forget, I'd have to go back and look at the stuff, but it had just skyrocketed for no reason. Like, I'm just, and then I started to click that each time I did those mind moments, my blood pressure would rise. And that gave me confidence that I was doing the right thing, the right way to do it.
Meanwhile, you're fighting for your life, and all these idiots, ranking worst in the world, except for people like Dr. Garcia and Dr. Rind, my dad was a physician, just passed away for 35 years. They didn't know any better. They're schooled like fish. And then the beauty little drugstore sales come in. And what does a doctor say to you every time you come in with something they never heard of, never seen, and never take into account a train or emotions or anything else? Let's get a test. What do the results say? And the reason why they don't keep doctors, why they keep doctors awake during residency, this is Rockefeller medicine, in the third year after going to college and then going and getting your master's and going for your doctorate degree and then specializing. My dad was 12 years of schooling. You finally get to go to the hospital and work with real docs and start, and they don't let you sleep. You know why that is? By design. So they don't remember a thing, and the pretty little pharmacy girls come in and sell them all the drugs because that's what they're told to say. They're agents. They're agents. They're nothing but agents. They know the words, terminology, and they use big words. Sadly, it's the system we have, but no one talks like this. And I say to people, if they were 38th out of 38 in the NFL, would you go see them or listen to the coach?
Well, it was fun. No, I mean, it was funny. I even asked for an IV of vitamin C. Oh, we don't have that.
No preventative. Hospitals don't serve organic food. You know why they call it medicine?
Oh my gosh, I had to order once I think it was about a week before I came home, I hadn't eaten, and I would just eat the applesauce. That was the only thing I could eat. So I ordered in all this pouch baby food that was organic, and I lived off baby food and just fruit.
Krispy Kreme donut reward for a vaccine.
I mean, I know, go figure.
As if this isn't the stupidest show on earth, but you see the people just for mind control for whatever reason. But again, back to your healing though. I don't know, I'm just elated from all the work I've been doing, and for Dr. Garcia's validation to see others, see it work on people I care about and others that can maybe share and then keeps going from here. So I want to help you too. And so how can I help you get more into biomagnetism in whichever way you want? We don't have to talk now, but I want you to think about it, okay? Because your story is very powerful, Louise. And if this explodes like I will, this could be something that you can definitely leverage, like I've talked to every other person here about how they can leverage this out right now. And so everybody's gonna be staying at home and incomes are gonna be dropping. So what are they gonna wanna do? Self-heal.
That's all you can do.
That's all you can do. You know what the root word of pharmacy is? Harm. What's the root word of pill? Ill. and they tell us to be patient while they're waiting. Then they're going to send a surge into us in the surgery room. I mean, and medicine is a sin.
And what I'm also discovering is, even though I had been vegan and I was predominantly eating fruit and vegetables and salads and things like that prior to getting sick, one of the strangest things when I came out of this was all I wanted was macaroni and cheese and chicken. And I'm like, where is that? And I still eat it. Like, I had a bit of chicken today. I still crave certain things like that, which is very bizarre, but I am not absorbing the nutrients that are coming from the healthy, organic fruit and vegetables. And that was one of the other aha moments of how can we bypass and get our bodies absorbing it correctly as well.
Do you feel like you've learned of a miracle?
I probably not thinking along those lines.
Come on now.
Remotely totally gracious.
Remotely thinking of somebody else, we follow this pattern, we set our intention, and then months later the person tells his story. If that's not woo-woo land, kind of conceptually, you know what I mean? It's just, to me, I'm still in awe. And I asked Dr. Garcia, I said, do you still are amazed every time? He goes, every time. Same with me. I'm just in awe of this process.
Well, see, I was a Reiki master prior to this, and I couldn't even do that. I couldn't, because that takes a lot of your own physical energy, even though you're tubing it and you're a vessel for it.
Tuned fork. You've tuned your fork with Reiki energy yourself through all your healing with others. Just like biofield tuning lady I work with, she's really down the road and stuff too on this, because you're already tuned yourself. And that's why making yourself healthy to help others is part of the mantra. Thanks, I got to add that to the book.
And that's what I'm trying to do right now, is be the predominant of the epitome of getting myself back to the perfect state, to say, this is where I was, this is what can happen, and now would you like the same to occur for yourself?
Wonderful. And I'd like to, I have your email or no?
Yes.
Okay, so let's communicate and let's go down the road here. And do you have this all documented?
To a degree. Once I could pick up the phone and
just a few documents, medical bills kind of thing, for a story, if you want to share, because it's a very, very powerful story. And it's something that will maybe...
I've got my whole complete download of all my both hospital medical. I downloaded everything, all the lab works, everything. Yes.
All right. And I look forward to continuing the process with you, however you want to do it. But just, it's just,
thank you.
Let's keep you going and see how good we can get you now.
Yep. There's still a ways to go, but thank you. Yes.
Well, no, but that's what I'm saying too, is, and this is the part of the that I put in the book as well, is like, will I feel results right away? Yes and no, it all depends. I mean, that's my go-to line now on everything when people ask me questions. I don't know. Everybody's different. We'll look and see. There's terrain stuff coming at us. There's AI been uploaded into us. The food is all corrupt. The air is all corrupt. The corruption is all everywhere. And our bodies are trying to be healthy in a super corrupt environment. So the only way we can come through this to be charging our dense bodies is spiritually and mentally. And that's the spiritual being having a mental physical experience. And that's when your heart chakra and like we're opening up now. But your story can bring a lot of credibility to the biomagnetism.
Thank you.
I think if you want to share, it's totally up to you, and we can do it just voice, however you want to do it. But thank you for sharing, and I look forward to let's take this now and would you do me a favor, because I'm going to announce something pretty amazing tonight, and would you just, if Dr. Garcia is the primary responsible person, primary for your health getting better, can you just say something to Dr. Garcia for us?
Oh my gosh. This was the introduction of what can occur to make us heal. If something like this disease of myopathy that was unspecified, meaning that they have no answers even for myopathy, and I can get my part of my recovery in 6 months instead of 2.5 years. That is a fast route. And for Dr. Garcia's bringing this knowledge to you, to myself, and because I attended your class, and that is what catapulted my recovery, because there was nothing else that was working at the time. It was literally working with the mind and the biomagnetics. There was no other modality kicking in through AMA in any form. And it truly goes back to the Dr. Garcia. He was the introductory of getting me to where I am now.
Me as well. Thank you, Dr. Garcia. And I got a surprise for him tonight. It's going to be fun. But lastly, and then we'll go on, is the amount of money you spent on biomagnetic healing and the amount of money you spent on, and time and energy you spent on your other chase down the Western medicine road. What's that look like?
Woo! Pennies in comparison.
Yeah, magnets and people to set their intention with you and help you, and you're pretty much good. And then test, blood tests, urinary tests, doctors, more tests, more visits, more patient visits, more tests.
I have no idea. So I spent almost, I think it was 12 weeks in hospital. That's longer than a heart transplant patient. And they did try and get me into rehab. I think I was blessed by not going that route. They couldn't get me in. So you add up 12 weeks plus the surgeries for biopsies, for whatever they were, the amount of MRIs I had to incur just to monitor, to get no results. Like I said, they had a folder so thick of lab work that they even made a comment of, oh my gosh, we've never had a patient go through this much. I had veins that had completely collapsed because I'd had so much work done that they had to do a pick in my arm, which is completely very dangerous because it's the artery in your arm, just to get blood work, because I had run out of space. And that included arms, hands, thighs, and my neck. And so they finally did a pick.
Okay, that's an amazing story. All right, so let's continue on. And then also, if you can, journal your diet, you're changing in foods, what you ate.
I'll try and get off chicken again.
We can do it. We can do it also verbally, for the record, your urinary and stuff too, because what I've learned is, and this started with when I started working with Simpson oil, and that's what first started to get into healing, when I saw that the concentrated sativa buds with Rick Simpson, the guy who drove Simpson around Europe and taught around Europe, lived with me for months. And there was 2 people that had cancer that they didn't think had much. And we gave her 2-month protocols, and she got it all cleared. She's been alive 5 years later. And that's what started me into the whole thing about, hey, nature can heal. And then the other thing, I went down to remote viewing down in south of Monterey, Esalen, and listened to a guy that ran a research institute, remote viewing for Stubblefield, Albert Stubblebine. Albert Stubblebine created the intelligence for the U.S. military in 1986. Albert Stubblebine started the Stanford Research Institute, and the citizen guy was a guy named Stephen Schwartz. And Stephen Schwartz used to work for Admiral Rickover as his adjutant And now he was a civilian. And so he was down there giving classes on how to remote view. And that was back in 2007, 2008. So what I'm saying is, and bringing this up, is we spiritually prepare ourselves for this to exist. You've gone through Reiki. I went through another path, that kind of thing, in our own time, in our own way. But now it's like we've given this gift to not only make ourselves better, but now we can show people others how to do it. And this whole ripple would begin from here. And powerful stories like yourself become the healed, become the healer, is the classic Chiron, who isn't wounded right now.